שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom. Happy April. It is hard to believe that another month has really just begun. And we, as we welcome in Shabbat, are also welcoming in that last day of our Chag, that last celebration of Pesach. And so as we come to you from our sanctuary here at United Hebrew Congregation, we go out to all of the many sanctuaries that are connected by our virtual space. And I ask if you are going to light your candles with us and welcome in Shabbat with Kiddush, that you get your candles, you grab your Kiddush cup and a little something to drink as we join together and welcome in Shabbat. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. As we welcome in the light and we welcome in the warmth of Shabbat, we join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. And now we are about to welcome the Shabbat as we seal our souls on that contract between ourselves and God with this beautiful wine. It is created by nature and crafted by people. It is a perfect metaphor for our mission on earth as we do God's work. If you can stand, please, as we raise our souls to a higher plane of holiness at this time for the Kiddushat Hayom, which is the sanctification of the day. As you know, I always raise my head, my hand above my eyes, the cup above my eyes, as we toast God. And then for the body of the prayer, we put our cup below our eyes so that we can give context, and then the final bracha we raise up once again to congratulate God for allowing us to enjoy this Shabbat. And we sing together the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodesho be'ahavav ratzon hinchilanu zikaro lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techiro ekra kodesh Zecher letziot mitzrayim kivanu v'arta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat Baruch Ata Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. And we say together, Amen. L'chaim, Shabbat Shalom. David, Murray, Candy, Art, Daryl, Rabbi.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
And as Cantor points out those who are in the sanctuary, I want to once again give a shout out to our crew, those who are here tonight and those who are not here tonight. We have a rotating force of folks who are on our live stream. And a reminder that, yes, we know we have had some technical difficulties. A reminder that it is volunteers, that we do not have professionals. We are not IT folks. But we have purchased some new equipment, which we hope, and some cabling and everything that will continue to improve our live stream. But thank you to those who are with us week after week, extending our sanctuary from here to there. A week ago, as we welcomed in Shabbat, we also were preparing our hearts and our minds for the beginning of Pesach, for our Sederim. We were preparing to relive the Exodus from Egypt. And tomorrow morning, the 7th day of Passover, we experience the culmination of the narrative of the Exodus from Egypt as we read about the crossing of the sea. So let's recap where we are if we were going through the story from our Seder until today. So, the Israelites were told that they were leaving Egypt quickly. They needed to get their food together, perhaps make some bread, pack their stuff, and by the way, you need to offer up a lamb, paint a little of its blood on your doorpost, and after you cook it, the whole family has to eat it, but no leftovers are allowed. And then the next morning, your bread hasn't even had time to rise, much less bake. Pharaoh says go, and you do. No one looks back because there isn't any time, and you just move forward. And then you come to the Red Sea. You set up your camp on the banks of the Red Sea, trying to figure out, are we going around? How much time will that take us to go around? What are we doing? But Pharaoh, in the meantime, changes his mind about letting you go. And his chariots come charging across the desert in pursuit. And the Israelites find themselves trapped. They are trapped between the impassable sea on one side, Pharaoh's charging army on the other side, and they cry out to Moses, and Moses raises his eyes to God in prayer. But God says, Moses, this is not the time for prayer. Command the people to move forward, lift up your staff, hold out your arm over the sea, and the sea will split so that the Israelites may cross on dry ground. It's not the time for prayer. God's saying it's the time for action. And according to the Torah, Moses did exactly that. And the people crossed in safety. And when Pharaoh's troops followed them into the sea closed over them and drowned them. Thus Israel was freed from the cruelty of Pharaoh and of Egypt. But the rabbis of the later generations were disturbed that in this story, God does all the work while the Israelites just passively watch it happen. God sends Moses and tells him what to say. God brings the plagues and hardens the heart of Pharaoh. God leads the Israelites out of Egypt and then saves them at the Red Sea. Where are the people? We pray as if everything depends on God, and yet we're told to act as if everything depends on us. But what's happening in this story? What is the human role that plays out, that brings about the change? And so, of course, to answer this, the rabbis read between the spaces in the Torah, and according to the rabbis, in their story, it all goes the same until Moses raised his staff to part the sea. Except in their version, as Moses raises his staff, the sea doesn't part. Moses raises his hands and his staff again, but the waters do not part. He gets nervous. You can imagine all these Israelites are yapping at him, telling him, and he tries to recall God's exact instructions. So once again, he holds up his staff, and the waters do not part. Moses panics, and if Moses panics, the people panic, and everyone is frozen in fear. Standing in front of the sea, they can hear Pharaoh's army behind them, and no one knows what to do. No one, that is, except for one person, Nachshon. Nachshon understood that God expected the people to take a role in their own redemption, take a role in their own future. Nachshon knew that the sea would not part until someone moved, until someone trusted and moved toward freedom, until someone was ready to take a risk. And so Nachshon waded into the waters of the Red Sea, and at first, everyone thought he was crazy. "What are you doing?" his family shouted. But Nachshon kept walking. He waded out further until the water covered his knees. His family screamed and begged him to return, fearing that he was going to drown. But he went further still until the water came up to his waist. Now everyone stood in silence and watched as Nachshon continued walking forward until the water came up to his shoulders. And only when the water covered his nose and his mouth, we can probably imagine what that feels like since we've been wearing masks, only then did the sea split so the Israelites could cross to safety on the other side. The people stood in silence and they watched, while only one person made the choice to step into the water. Today we are sort of like the Israelites, like our ancestors. We are camped, kind of unsettled on the shores of a sea, waiting to move forward. We're stuck in a pandemic. We're stuck in a cycle of inequality and inequity. We're stuck in a cycle of scapegoating and blaming our ills on other people. We're stuck. For some of us, we might be waiting for someone to tell us everything's going to be okay, and then we'll move forward. For others of us, we might be waiting for someone to lead, to tell us what we need to do. And others of us might be waiting to see how things will turn out, telling ourselves we'll move forward when we understand what will change and how that change will affect us and what we want to do. Moving forward is risky, but so is staying put. We run the risk of settling when we stay put. And settling means that we're fine with just being okay, rather than stepping forward and reaching for the possibility of excellence. Now is the time for us to be like Nachshon, to listen to that still small voice that is telling us, you can do it. You can make change. You can lead change. There are innumerable possibilities that lie ahead for all if you just move forward. As Ellen Allard sings, Nachshon, he walked into the water. Nachshon, he walked into the sea. The Israelites, they were waiting by the water. They were wondering what to do. Fighting fear with courage and hope, he took a leap of faith, determined to reach the promised land guided by unseen hands. Every generation has its heroes willing to take a risk. Nachshon, he walked into the water. Nachshon, he walked into the sea. May this Shabbat and may this end of Pesach inspire us in this moment in time in our world to be like Nachshon, to jump in with both feet, with trust and moving forward into the unknown, with trust in ourselves and with trust in God. Amen. We turn in our prayer books as we move forward and welcome in the Sabbath bride. We turn to page 138 as we join together singing Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, ne Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, ne Shabbat nikavela. Shmo v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, ושמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתהילה. אחד אותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת תקבלה. אחד אותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת תקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור המרחה וראש מקדם לסוכה. זאת מעשה ומצב התפילה, אחד אותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת קבלה. אחד אותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת קבלה. Everybody can please stand if you can. Find an open space so that you can open your hearts, open your minds and your souls to welcoming this Shabbat. Oi shalom ateret bahala, tam b'simcha uvetzola, toch emunei am sekula, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
And we continue on page 146 as we remain standing for Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Baruch
we turn to page 149, and with Nachshon on our minds, we read together at the middle of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And on page 152, we join together in the Shema. Page 155 as we read together. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. And on page 157, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 158.
Moga baherim Adonai, Ika moga nedar bakodesh, Ika moga ne'im Adonai, Ika moga nedar bakodesh, Torah מוכה נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים על פוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילו. עושה פלא מלכותך, ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. פלא ונאמר כפתה אדוני את יעקב, יבוא מיד חזק ילמדו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך לאלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילו. עושה פלא, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש.
And we turn to page 160 as we'll join together singing Hashki Venu, our evening prayer for peace.
Hashkifeinu
we turn to page 163 as we prepare ourselves for the Amidah, and a reminder as we begin to chant through the Amidah, Pesach is the time where in the Givuot we switch from winter into summer. So you will notice that we switch from the blessing for wind and rain to that of dew. But first, page 163.
Marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and a joy in the breeze. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and a joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day.
And we rise, page 166.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Ve'konei Hakol Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imachot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'ezrat Saran. On page 168, we are using the summer insert now. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayeh hakol atzarav lehoshia Morid hatal Mechalkel chayim bechesed Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim Zomer noflim v'rofeh chorim Umatir asurim Umekayem emunato Lishenei afar Michamocha ba'al gevurot Umidomelach Melech memit Umechayeh Umatz mi'ach Yeshua V'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol. Page 170. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalaluhu chasela Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
may be seated. And at this time in our service, we turn our hearts, we turn our thoughts and our prayers toward those in our community, those who are in need of healing. And tonight, if you are thinking of someone who is in need of healing, be it a physical, a spiritual, or emotional healing, if you would like to send their name out into the heavens, I ask that you please call their name aloud at this time. And we take all of those names into our hearts, and may God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit as we join together now in Mishaberach, our prayer for healing. Take a moment for silent and personal prayer. A couple of announcements. Tomorrow morning Torah study will be at 9 a.m. 10:30 tomorrow morning will be our Passover Festival, Shabbat morning, and Yizkor service. There's a lot of service going on in one, and we look forward to having you join. It is. It is a lot of service. Festival, Shabbat, Yizkor, all wrapped into one service. There are still spots. Hopefully the weather will be beautiful tomorrow. Probably you'll want to wear a coat and join us in the parking lot, or join us on live stream from the comfort of your own home. And upcoming 6 p.m. tomorrow night, our next week now, Havdalah. Why is it especially important tomorrow? We mark the end of Pesach. And so, yes, tomorrow evening after Havdalah, we can eat our chametz. And upcoming this Sunday at noon, Sunday, April 4th at noon, you can find information on our website. We are going to celebrate Maimuna. It is the Moroccan festival celebration that happens the day after Passover ends. And if you have ever watched the British Baking Show and seen them make one of those incredible pancake cakes upon each other, at Maimuna, they make something called mafleta that is just like that. You will have the opportunity to try your hand at the mafleta Technical Baking Challenge.
Have you tried it?
I
you tried
have.
To make it? You
I
have?
made it last year.
Did you really?
I did.
You got to bring some.
I did. You too can make it at noon with Donna and her grandmother this Sunday. Mm-hmm. Then at 1 o'clock, if it wasn't exciting enough to celebrate Maimuna from Israel, at 1 o'clock on the next 4 Sundays, we will be having a very special set of programs with Paul Lips, who is a scholar on Israel. Specifically, he'll be highlighting Israelis and the various communities within Israel. This Sunday at 1 will be about Yemenite Jews. Next Sunday will be about Moroccan Jews. The next Sunday, April 18th, will be about the Beta Israel, the Jews from Ethiopia. And then on April 25th, please join us for a really wonderful program and discussion on the Arab citizens of Israel. On Monday, April 5th, is our April Virtual Senior Program, St. Louis's Rich Theater History. Next Shabbat is Shabbat Alive with our artist in residence, Rick Recht. And we are going to do all of our birthday blessings on that Shabbat with Rick. But we still would like to wish anybody celebrating a birthday in April, and we know a few folks like Norman Wolf who celebrated birthdays this past week. Ad Mea ve'esrim, may you live to be 120. And finally, you can join Cantor Eicher for Pirkei Avot study on Zoom on Saturdays, April 10th, 17th, and 24th. You just need to register on our website. And now, I'm going to ask everybody to rise as we turn to page 570 for the counting of the Omer. And as we welcome in the Omer, the time when we move from Pesach to Shavuot, we say, I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer, and we join together in the blessing.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Al Sefirat HaOmer.
Hayom Shisha Yamim LaOmer. Today is the 6th day of the Omer. And now, as we remain standing, we turn to page 586 for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשפט אבים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. page 591. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated, and we continue on page 595. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This Shabbat, the heartfelt condolences of our congregation go out to the families of Gloria Goldblatt and Janice E. Pascal. We're in the period of Shloshim for Marilyn Farber, Michael Arthur Kahn, Albert H. Candell, Bobby Plager, Marshall C. Stein, Faye Stern, and Chester Walkowitz. This week, this Shabbat, we observe the Yartzites and we lovingly remember Haskell Aronson, Lillian Batavia, Harry Behrman, Fanny Berger, Ben Berger, Ida S. Bierman, Jenny Binder, Abraham Block, Sherman Bluestein, Betty A. Boxerman, Catherine E. Cohen, Milton S. Cohen, Harry J. Coplin, Reuben Milton Crystal, Jack Dubinsky, Joseph A. Epstein, Dana Ezel, Joseph D. Feigenbaum, Nathan Frensdorf, Faye G. Friedman, Ben Friedman, Lester Gallant, Frank Gardner, Israel Garfinkel, Ruth Gaylor, Harry Gadan, Milford G. Gadan, Edith Glazer, Lester Glickman, Robert Glinner, William A. Goldberg, Louis Goldblum, Albert Goldie, Anna Goldenberg, Ida Goldstein, Stella Rosen Goldstein, Marvin Grossman, Abby Herman, Rose Jorman, Dorothy Z. Dottie Keene, Theodore Kreiser, Philip Kraut, Paul Mandel, Max Mayerson, Jenny Midman, Betty Ann Moulton, Eli Michael Novison, Minnie Novison, Marlene Palins, Bertha Pizer, Leah Rodenberg, Emil S. Rudman, Jerome D. Rosen, Sam Rosen, Shirley Roth, Eli Rubin, Esther Sakarowitz, Jack J. Sanders, Nathan Saracen, Rose M. Schenberg, Alvin Siegelbaum, Dorothy S. Smith, Harold C. Solar, Shirley Ann Sosnoff, J. Lewis Spiegel, Paul Steinman, Shirley R. Taylor, Cindy F. Thuner, Hazel R. Wallerstein, Effie Werner, Mildred Wiley, Milton Winter, Nathan Wolf, Rita Yanow, Robert Zeman, Lillian Zimmerman. Zichronam livracha, may each of their memories be for blessing. As we turn to the words of the mourner's Kaddish, on page 598, and we rise. Yit gadal ve'yit kadash shemei rabbah, bi'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehe shemei Rabba mevorach le'ala molmei almaya. Yit barach ve'yish tabach ve'yit pa'ar ve'yit romam ve'yit naseh. Ve'yit hadar ve'yit ale ve'yit halal shemei dekudasha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Damiram be'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama Rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. And on this Shabbat, as we begin this seventh and final day of Pesach, we continue to recall our ancestors' exodus from Egypt, but so too do we recall their journey, a journey that we today are still on. And we remember that for the courage of Nachshon, the strength of mind and heart, what it took for him to take that first step forward to begin their journey, so too may we be many Nachshons to help continue that journey. And at this time in our world, may we take just little steps, as simple as when your time comes, get a vaccine, continue to wear your mask, and that will hopefully shorten that journey to the time where we can be back together again in our sanctuary. And as we continue to make our way through Shabbat, we end tonight with the blessing of a journey.
May you be blessed as you go on your way. May you be guided in peace. May be blessed with health and joy. May this be our blessing. Amen. May you be sheltered by the wings of peace. May you be kept in safety and in love. May grace and compassion find their way into your soul. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. Amen. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. Amen. May this be our blessing. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.